Hello everyone, welcome to the Military Schedule channel. Today, we are going to dive into the depths of one of the most intense conflicts of our time, the war in Ukraine. In this video, we bring you emotional and powerful accounts from the true heroes of this conflict, the soldiers. These are stories that often remain in the shadows, away from the media spotlight. Stories of bravery, sacrifice, and resilience. Get ready to learn about the experiences and challenges faced by those on the front lines, fighting not just for their country, but for their lives. Let's explore these untold stories of the war in Ukraine together. Andrew John Peters from Marshfield, Wisconsin, enlisted in the U.S. Army after graduation, and 4 days before his 18th birthday, he left for training. He served in Afghanistan in 2014. After an honorable discharge following a 4-year enlistment in mid-2016, he returned to his hometown Marshfield, where he enjoyed hiking and playing hockey. Andrew loved learning other languages and spoke several fluently, including Russian, Ukrainian, and French, in addition to some German. But when war broke out in Ukraine, Andrew Peters volunteered to join the International Legion against Russia's invasion in late November 2022. Andrew John Peters was a strong advocate for doing what was honorable, even at great personal cost. He wanted to go there and make a difference. He arrived in Ukraine a few days after Thanksgiving with his own armor and military gear. In Ukraine, Andrew Peters witnessed and shared the horrors of the war over the phone with his family, mainly with his father, who is a Persian Gulf War veteran. He kept in touch with his family until he stopped sending text messages around February 11, 2023. Andrew John Peters was killed in combat in Ukraine on February 16, 2023. He was 28 years old. Christopher James Campbell was a veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division's Air Assault Brigade, a highly professional soldier with combat experience. He served for 5 years in Iraq and Kuwait. After his military service, Chris received a scholarship at an American university and planned to become a geneticist. However, he dropped out of his studies when the war in Ukraine began. Chris Campbell sold all his possessions, all his cars, guns, everything he had earned, and invested all his money to travel to Ukraine. At the beginning of the war, he worked as an instructor for the Rapid Operational Response Unit and the fighters of the Azov Regiment. Chris Campbell joined the Azov Special Forces and later joined the International Legion. During the funeral of a fighter, he met his fiancée, the film director and volunteer, Ivana Sanina, daughter of the acclaimed director Olga Simonova. Chris promised Ivana that he would go on one last mission in Bakhmut and that he would return to her in 3 days to plan their wedding. On April 6, 2023, Chris Campbell died in combat against Russian troops in Bakhmut at the age of 27. Chris was buried in Ukraine, the country where he found the love for which he gave his life. This was his last wish. Maxwell Gomez Ribeiro, known as Max Panavo, had been working in the military police of the state of Sao Paulo for 10 years when, in October 2019, at the age of 27, while visiting his mother's house, he shot his older brother 7 times, went into shock, and surrendered to the police. He was arrested but was released on provisional liberty 10 days later. Max Panavo was expelled from the military police, and when Ukraine was invaded by Russia, he saw an opportunity. He left the country to enlist as a mercenary in Ukraine, despite being charged with homicide. He had no money and charged his mother's credit card for the plane ticket, arriving in Ukraine on March 8, 2022. Since then, Max Panavo has participated in numerous battles. He often posted relaxed and mocking videos on social media amidst the war scenery. On one occasion, calling himself the Latin Avenger, Max Panavo made a video challenging Vladimir Putin to a duel, stating that the Russian leader had already lost the war. In November 2023, a false news report of his death circulated. At that time, he was severely wounded by Russian artillery but survived. He was hospitalized and had to undergo a series of surgeries to remove shrapnel from his body. On February 21, 2024, Max Panavo was killed by Russian troops in the city of Avdiivka after a kamikaze drone attack. Max Panavo was 31 years old, unmarried, and had no children. He is the 5th Brazilian killed in the conflict on the Ukrainian side. Olga Simonova was born in the Russian city of Chelyabinsk and had a keen interest in sports, excelling in both climbing and karate. She always took pride in competing for Russia. However, she began to feel uneasy about her homeland after learning about Russia's war in Chechnya and its actions in the eastern region of Donbass, Ukraine, and Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014. That's when Olga Simonova made a life-changing decision and bought a one-way ticket to Ukraine. She joined the conflict in Donbass on the Ukrainian side, first as a volunteer fighter, then as a paramedic, and finally as an enlisted member of the armed forces. Her war name was Simba. Olga Simonova never hid her Russian origins from her colleagues and earned their trust by demonstrating her commitment to Ukraine on the battlefield. In 2017, she was granted Ukrainian citizenship. She rose to the rank of sergeant and was given command of infantry and artillery units in the 24th Mechanized Brigade. She was respected not just as a commander, but as a person. On September 13, 2022, Olga Simonova was aboard an armored vehicle that exploded after running over a landmine in the southern region of Kherson. She was 34 years old, single, childless, and will be remembered for her bravery and kindness. Andrew Irvin Weber graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point in 2005 and served in the Army as a chemical officer and infantry officer for a decade. He was deployed to Iraq and twice to Afghanistan. He served on various combat missions as an advisor and embedded trainer with the Iraqi Army and the Afghan National Army, reaching the rank of captain by the end of his service in April 2016. After leaving the military, Andrew Weber graduated from Northwestern University School of Law and worked as a corporate attorney in Seattle. During this time, he co-founded and co-led a pro bono immigration project, helping Afghans find refuge through legal and diplomatic channels. Andrew Weber wanted to do more and decided to go to Ukraine. He enlisted in the Ukrainian Armed Forces in May 2023, volunteering with the 59th Motorized Brigade of Ukraine. On July 29, 2023, Weber was killed in a Russian drone attack in eastern Ukraine. Andrew Weber was 40 years old and left behind a wife and 2 young daughters. Irina Alexandrovna Starokova was born on March 18, 1981, in Donetsk. In 2000, she received her secondary education in mechanics at the Higher Vocational School in Donetsk. Irina Starokova divorced her first husband, with whom she had 2 daughters, and joined the fight for the Russian separatists in Donbass in 2014. She remarried Belarusian captain Alexander Ogranich, codenamed Goranich, who also fights for the Russians. It is believed that Alexander Ogranich has killed more than 100 Ukrainians. Irina Starokova, codenamed Bagira, was long confused with the Serbian sniper Danijela Lazovic, who also fought in Donbass and had the same codename Bagira. Danijela Lazovic was arrested in 2020 upon returning to her country and sentenced to 6 years in prison for various crimes, including drug trafficking. The Serbian Bagira was also a nun and was known as Mother Ksenia. The pro-Russian Ukrainian Bagira was allegedly responsible for killing more than 40 Ukrainians, including civilians, and was hunted by Ukrainian forces since 2014 when she shot Ukrainian prisoners. Irina Starokova was a sniper with the 11th Specialized Special Operations Division. In March 2022, she was wounded in combat against Ukrainian troops and was left behind by her comrades to die. Irina Starokova received medical treatment, and since then, it is unknown if she is still held as a prisoner or if she is dead. Austin Lathlin-Bercier was a member of the Opaskwayak Cree Nation in northern Manitoba, Canada. From a young age, Austin was interested in a military career, partly because of his involvement with the Bold Eagle program, a military training initiative for Indigenous youth. He planned to join the Canadian Armed Forces right after high school, but had to undergo laser eye surgery after discovering that his poor vision disqualified him from the infantry. Austin was always the first to help those in need, especially women and children, and those who could not defend themselves. At the start of the war, Austin was in Portugal doing volunteer work. He called his parents asking them to sell all his belongings and send the money. Austin traveled to Ukraine and joined the International Legion. On November 13, 2023, Austin Lathlin-Bercier's parents received a phone call informing them that their son had been killed in combat against Russian troops in Avdiivka at the age of 25. His indigenous name was Running Gray Wolf, and he reconnected with his culture before he died. Benjamin Georgio Gal was raised in the province of Varese, Italy. His father was Italian and his mother was Dutch, and after moving to the Netherlands, Benjamin also obtained Dutch citizenship. When the war started, Benjamin Gal decided to go to Ukraine and was one of the first foreign fighters to join the International Legion on March 3, 2022. His mother said that he did not go there to be a hero, let alone to play at war. He went there because he thought it was a great injustice that Russia had invaded Ukraine. He wanted to help people regain their lands. Between the end of August and the beginning of September 2022, there was a large gathering of Ukrainian soldiers in the Kharkiv area, including foreign fighters from the International Legion, in view of the counteroffensive that Ukraine was conducting at the time. On September 12, 2022, Benjamin Gal was on a mission in a village near Kharkiv when he was severely injured by shrapnel from a missile explosion. He was transported to a hospital in Kiev, where he passed away overnight between September 18th and 19. He was 27 years old. Andrew Ranish Huage was a member of the light infantry in the Sri Lankan army. He was also a pilot. He legally left the Sri Lankan army in 2012 with the rank of lieutenant. Later, he moved to the United Arab Emirates in search of employment, and in 2022, he decided to join the International Legion for the defense of Ukraine, where he played an active role. Andrew was known by his call sign Dentist or Raj, and served as the commander of Charlie 3, Legionnaire's Special Services Group, and as a company commander in the 1st Battalion of the Ukrainian International Legion. He served as a commanding officer on the front line and always took care of others before himself. On December 4, 2023, Andrew Ranish Huage tried to retrieve the body of a fallen soldier when he was hit by a Russian artillery strike in the city of Bakhmut. 2 other compatriots of Andrew were also killed in the attack. He was posthumously promoted to captain by the Ukrainian president for his bravery in battle. Cooper Turner Andrews was a native of Cleveland, Ohio, and always enjoyed outdoor activities and helping his community. Sergeant Cooper served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 2017 to 2022, after which he headed west and fought wildfires. In November 2022, he volunteered to join the International Legion for the defense of Ukraine, where he stayed until March 2023. After that, he joined a private foreign military group defending the Road to Life in Bakhmut. The Road to Life was a rare access road to Bakhmut, used by the Ukrainian military to resupply their troops, but it was also used to evacuate civilians. Other sources reveal that Sergeant Cooper worked for an activist group known as the Resistance Committee. Cooper told his grandparents that, after serving in Ukraine, he hoped to return to the United States and prepare for a career in journalism. On April 19, 2023, Cooper Andrews was killed after being hit by a Russian mortar while helping evacuate civilians in the city of Bakhmut. He was 26 years old. Daniel Burke, 36, from Manchester, was a former British paratrooper who never shied away from combat. Daniel Burke served in Afghanistan, and after a bombing at the Manchester Arena in 2017 that killed 22 civilians, he went to Syria, where he fought alongside Kurdish fighters who were supported by the West. When the war in Eastern Europe began, he decided to travel to Ukraine, where he created his own volunteer unit known as the Dark Angels. Later, he moved to carry out frontline evacuation work. On August 16, 2023, Daniel Burke was reported missing after he was not found in his apartment in Zaporizhia. About 5 weeks later, his body was found in a sewer, with bullet injuries to the back of the head and neck. An Australian-Algerian fighter, Abdel Fattah Nourine, confessed that he accidentally killed the Brit. However, police investigations pointed out that Daniel Burke was killed over a dispute about money and vehicles, as well as the envy he caused his colleague, as he claimed that a woman in the United States was giving him almost $10,000 a month. Abdel Fattah Nourine, also known as Jihadi Adam, was questioned but released. He took the opportunity to disappear and may have left the country. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.